Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Lunch Table Podcast. In this episode, we're going to review you.
Me?
Yeah. No. Part 2 on Netflix. Yeah, so if you guys want, please make sure to like and subscribe. It'll greatly help us out. And also check out our other playlists as well and share with your friends. I know I'm asking a lot from you. But anyways, let's get started. So Dylan, tell me your thoughts on Part 2.
So demanding. Yeah, Part 2 was interesting. They completely bamboozled me, is whatever they say. They did like a complete 180 from Part 1, which is funny because we kind of broke it down that Joe was kind of fighting himself in a way, and that's exactly what happened in this Part 2, right? I was hoping they would end it this season, but it looks like it's a setup for bigger things now, because now it looks like Joe is probably gonna have an easier time getting away with like murder. But let me get your thoughts on Part 2.
Yeah, so full discretion, guys, we're going to definitely get into spoilers for this review. And I thought that the beginning at least wasn't too good. It didn't hook me. And then I think later on, like around the later episodes, like 7 to 9, or maybe 6 to 9, that's where it really got juicy. And it got to the typical, TV show drama that we all love and expect. But I think that's like a weak way to start. Part 1 was like that. Part 2, like in the beginning, was like that. So all in all, kind of, it wasn't the best. But at least we didn't get the side characters that much. I'm thankful for that, because they were really like degenerate bastards. I just really didn't. I didn't vibe with them. But Kate. It's what you would expect from Part 1. I still don't understand why they could split this into 2 parts. I guess it's like for the shock value, but I don't know. It didn't really land.
I feel they could have definitely broken this up into 2 seasons.
Oh, wow.
I think it actually would have been a better cliffhanger if they had cut it off from the last part and then left it on a complete, what's going to happen. And then I would have been more surprised if they made Part 2 like a next season, right? Because now I'm watching this and I'm like, what else are they gonna do for season 5, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, we did get that ending, and I feel like it's gonna be Joe unbound, and that's a really dangerous thing. And maybe that's why they have so much story to tell. Maybe the season 5 is really the last story that we're gonna see from you. Not you personally, but, you from Netflix.
No, I hope not.
The last story.
Yeah, don't give me a rating.
Right. Well,
but what did you think of also, we're introduced to Kate's father.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Lockwood. What did you think of his character?
Yeah, he wasn't like the complete... at least I feel he wasn't the complete bastard that Kate, said he was. I mean, he was still this asshole, typical archetypal character, but he wasn't that bad, I feel. And maybe that really showcases that Joe is always in this echo chamber with these women, and maybe he takes it too strongly, and that's always a good setup too for the next season or a new story or whatever. He's led by toxicity, but this guy wasn't. He was all right. I mean, he was really
pretty tame.
He was pretty tame. He's like, he wasn't. He's not like a super strong character, but it is what it is. Kind of like seeing him there. I don't know. I didn't really feel like a hook.
I mean, like Kate made it seem like make it out like he was like the devil or some shit. But I mean, he was just like another rich asshole that had money, right? I mean, he did do a lot of shady shit in this half of the season. And it is revealed that he's very manipulative and he's very controlling of Kate's life, and I get that part. But I feel like we've seen like worse characters in this series so far.
Yeah, I really thought that he was going to be this mountain to climb for Joe, but it ended up being, nothing really.
Just another, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Joe in this season, he really had to work with a lot of people that he didn't want to work with. And so it was revealed too, which I think is important to mention out, that Reese was actually not, he wasn't like somebody. He was just like a figment of Joe's imagination all this time. Quite the metaphor, I think, but a weak thing to do in storytelling. I always feel like that's kind of lazy. It's very like, oh, this is the ghost beside me, and they're telling me like advice and stuff like that. I always found that like very fake and just tiresome. Well, what did you think of that
honestly,
dynamic?
I wasn't crazy about the twist. I mean, I kind of wanted it to be like how I said in the first review, like I wanted him to have like a Moriarty or like an arch nemesis that has like the same skills as him and who's probably even smarter than him. I mean, I think the idea was interesting that he's kind of fighting himself in a way, but I think they could have saved that for like another season or something else. I think it would have been better actually if they made Reese his own character, especially because they built him up over, and the actor who played him was like so wonderful on screen. It's a shame we won't, or maybe we will get him perhaps for season 5. But yeah, so it seems now that all this time Joe was kind of having like schizophrenia. You have a schizophrenia. Yeah, I don't know, because he was flaking out a lot of moments, and it's like wouldn't you have remembered a lot of this stuff too? I mean, it kind of makes sense now that I look back from the beginning of the season when he killed the first guy because he was in the apartment. But then when I first saw that, I was like, it's a bit too obvious that it's him, right? I think it kind of kills the, I don't know, the transparency of it. It's like, oh, well, all this time it was just Joe again. It's like, you know.
Well, it's very inconsistent too. It's like the scenario's set up when he's talking to Reese, which is just in his mind, and there's people around him. It's just it's like an unlikely scenario. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I didn't really like the twist. I mean, one could have kind of expected that through the clues back then. Yeah, it is what it is. I don't know. I feel like Joe, this was like gonna happen eventually. Like if you watch season 1 to 3, it was like there was so much pressure and so much stress that it kind of broke him in a way. And he's always trying to be a better version of himself. But I guess the darker inner thoughts take over eventually, and that's what we kind of see in the finale, in that reflection scene. So yeah, I feel like he's gonna definitely be, you know, a big villain next season, and that's why I feel like it might end. Like, where can you go from there? It's like Unbound Joe, and then after that, what? Sleepy Joe? Not in the White House, but I don't know.
Sleepy Joe.
I don't know.
It kind of reminded me of was it Arkham Knight when Batman was having
Joker,
like, you know, the Joker talking to himself a lot of times.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think he was talking to himself too much, and I was like, it seems like they had Reese in so many scenes that they might as well have just made him his own character, because they had him in so many scenes like talking to Joe, and yeah, Joe is definitely more unhinged, I'd say, than previous seasons. As we see with Marianne, which I thought was so sad. What happened to her?
Yeah, that was sad.
I was like, damn, watching her go through that. Well, at least like she did kind of have a scapegoat through Nadia. Yeah, I just felt so bad that, you know, she didn't see her daughter. I really thought I thought like she was gonna die after seeing that, and then they pulled that last, you know, thing at the end. Yeah, what'd you think of that?
I'm glad that she actually made it out. Yeah, that was like the old switcheroo. Nadia couldn't like come in clutch, and so they had to trick it and or trick Marianne's death, basically. And she woke up in a park bench. I mean, that's pretty cool after Joe left her there, and then I guess she made it, which is weird too. Because what about the police? Because Joe didn't get filthy rich, but it's, you know, you just escaped. What about the police? What about this? Right. I mean, she kept on saying, but I felt like that was bullshit. Like, you could call the police. I mean,
they had enough evidence, like, especially Nadia as a witness. They had enough evidence that they could have turned Joe and be like, no, he's just gonna get away with it. I'm like, nah, he's gonna go in jail. Like, what? Like,
and also, how the hell did he move that whole glass box?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, damn, he must have had like a U-Haul team or some shit. I was like, he must have had like Chef Ramsay's like Kitchen Nightmares team like come in. It's the UK, so I guess they're
exactly. God, get out. Yeah, it didn't make sense. It was really inconsistent. I felt like there was a lot of things in this season that had a lot of plot armor just for the sake of the excitement, and which it kind of matches Joe's character, but at the same time too, it's like, I don't know. I just can't really feel attached because of that, because that lack of level of authenticity, it really bothered me. But
Yeah, there's too many moments where I feel like he's way too lucky to get out of situation. Like the whole
Too lucky.
like the Dawn thing, that that psychotic waitress. I think that was like definitely thrown in as plot armor, because like there's no way he could have got out of that situation.
Yeah,
Right?
it was just thrown in there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't really like that part. What did you think about the subplot with Phoebe? Like that was a whole.
Uh, really low tier. I didn't really care about her character, to be honest. And then we never even like got mention of like what Joe actually like said to her at the club. It was just kind of like a through line. Like they kept putting it in our face, and then they just didn't go anywhere with it.
Yeah,
And then like when her husband died, like I didn't really care, to be honest.
good riddance.
Yeah, good riddance. I don't know. I guess it just shows that maybe like some people aren't all bad. I guess because she did kind of, go on with her life, I guess, and then it just showed like all their friends just kept being the same people that they are.
Well, you make a great point, because I think that's the problem with Joe all this time. It was that he wants to be a different person, but deep down inside, he actually doesn't. He feels comfortable living like this. He could strive. He became a teacher in a different country. Now he's filthy rich. It's sad, because the paths that he's going down, actually, he could benefit from it, right? And so he creates this echo chamber always with these complicated women, complicated characters and stuff, and he could never get out of this cycle. So at least for Phoebe, it was nice to see that, yeah, she actually did want to change. This was her new calling, was to help children. Yeah, she grew, exactly. And it's a beautiful thing. I think that's why they kind of threw that in there, but I didn't care for it much.
I mean, I don't know if Kate really grew as a person.
Hell no. Everyone's saying nobody really likes Kate in this show. I mean, I think the actress is fine, Charlotte Ritchie. I think she's good here, but I didn't like her as a character too much.
I think she's good for Joe, but as a character, like, I don't know, she's just kind of there, as the love interest for me.
Well, that's it. I actually think perhaps she's an enabler of some sort. She just wants to look the other way, and she already alluded to that when she did that thing with the kids. It was her fault, apparently. She gave a lot of kids cancer or whatever, and she's running away from it.
And that's why I thought her father wasn't even that bad. After they told me that, I was like, you could have just kept that as the father did it, and I would have believed he's an asshole. But the fact that she did it made me hate her more than her dad.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. I think Joe, there's always a love interest for Joe. That's like the thing for the show. It's just there's always a love interest in complicated people. But I think Kate allows access, and perhaps that's why I'm saying for the next season he will be unbound, and there probably will be tension between the two, because she has the more assets. She's the one basically, the breadwinner here, and maybe he's going to do something to her. I don't know, because maybe they did that intentionally to introduce this kind of not very strong character compared to the other women, just for that, just so he could take advantage of her. I don't really know. I don't even know if she's really open to the idea of him like murdering people like that much. I don't know. I mean, we did get that end, so.
Well, I mean, especially because he didn't really confess that he killed her dad.
Or did he?
I wonder if, or maybe
he said that my name is Joe, whatever, blah 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 blah, and then they cut. Right. I wonder if he did,
but he didn't say it right away. That makes me wonder if he did. That's the thing. So if he did tell her and she accepted that, well, yeah, she's an asshole. But if he didn't, that makes me wonder, like, will she accept him as a person?
Yeah, well, they haven't announced season 5 yet, so I guess we still got time to see. I mean, it could have ended here, to be honest. I would have been fine with it. It left the doors open for more, perhaps, but it was a deliciously evil type of ending, and I think that suited Joe Goldberg. So, I mean, again, time will tell.
Yeah, I mean, I always said like this show kind of. I mean, you always said like this feels like another CW show or something, like To Kill Time. But I always think of this show, it's like our kind of intrusive thoughts made manifest in a way. It's like, could we see ourselves going this far for love or relationships, right? And I think it does an extreme version of that really well. And so, I mean, I've never seen a show like this, to be honest. Like, I mean, there are similar shows where like it seems like relationships are at a hand, but never like on this kind of level, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's so iconic too. Yeah.
So yeah, what would you rate this? Well, I guess what would you rate this season, since it's kind of finished now?
Well, if I had to rate the whole season, I probably would give it like a 6. If I had to rate part 2, I probably would give it a like 8 or 7. It's way better than part 1, I think. But in total, I'll probably just give it a 6 for season 1 of 4. Yeah, what would you rate
I actually think I preferred part 1 over
Really?
part 2, actually. I think the twist kind of killed it for me.
Mm.
But yeah, overall, I'd probably agree with that. I'd probably give it a 6 as well. I mean, it was entertaining, but it didn't really like make me say like, oh shit, you know.
It just wasn't as juicy as the other seasons, I feel. You
Mhm.
know, I didn't feel like I had tea to tell my friends at work
Right.
that, girl, you saw what Joe did.
Right.
You know.
Shit. Well, it felt repetitive, you know, and I
Yeah.
hope that, you know, if they do continue with season 5, that maybe they like, I don't know, just add something to it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know what else you could do, honestly. Yeah, guys, that is our review for season 4 of You, Not Me, You. But yeah, leave a like, comment below if you you know, felt differently or agree with our review. Check out our other playlists as well and our other videos. We are also releasing Hello Tomorrow episode 6 review right after this, so check that out if you're following that show. And we have one more episode of The Last of Us this weekend. I know Akram's in mourning right now, but we will have plenty of content after that. We're gonna have an after show and plenty of things to talk about for The Last of Us. So, you know, stick around for that. And Akram, why don't you take us away?
Yeah, guys, follow our socials too. Dylan's doing a great job with our social media posts now. We changed our format, and yeah, we're doing a lot of stuff for this month and next month as well. A lot of more episode by episode reviews for you guys. But Dylan, as always, say your thing.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Until then, thanks for having lunch with us.
See you, guys. See you.
So corny.